Welcome back to the preview show. I'm Casey Campbell with Jonathan Fiel from the Race Next. Yeah, we brought in an expert that knows about racing.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
hmm
It's literally in the title. I
Yeah.
always go after the low hanging fruit. So, um, first off, how are you?
Doing good. It's been a good week so far. Lots of news
Good.
today, and
Lots of new.
at least at KOB. But otherwise, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's always been exciting. It's been a busy week for everything. It's just seems like the first week of April, and I don't know, it's all a bunch of stuff, and then everyone's talking about how Richmond ended and all that. And I don't know, it's I mean, between the restart zone and the bumper cover and all that, it's a lot jam packed. But what are your takeaways from Richmond?
Man, I thought the fine that Joey Gaze got was fair. With the bumper cover, just coming down the track. Dawson didn't really have any place to go to the left, any place to go to the right. It was an impediment definitely for what happened, safety issue. But it's great to see drivers expressing themselves. That's for sure. As far as Xfinity race, I thought was very entertaining, very eventful. It was a great race to watch. Some great debuts. Taylor Gray, Bubba Pollard, Matt DiBenedetto didn't do too bad of a job with the new team. And of course, Chandler Smith lighting up the series. I told you guys this before. Chandler Smith's gonna light up the Xfinity series with Joe Gibbs Racing. Sure enough, here he is. So really neat to see that. Cup race, I think, started off with a lot of hype and anticipation. The wet weather tires or the damp tires, and I think they passed the test with it, just being able to, start the race pretty much on time, even though the track wasn't fully dried and got the whole thing in when it looked pretty pessimistic for much of the night. So that was a big success. I think there's still some work to do to be able to get the teams, to be able to switch to the slicks by themselves, but that'll come in time, just like with, the road course racing. Then, of course, the big topic that everybody's talking about, of course, Danny in the restart zone. I think with the restart zone, not a good look on NASCAR, to say, hey, yeah, if this was lap 10, lap 50, 150, 200, whatever, this might have been a different call because I think it should be a consistent call across the board. Last lap or not, you gotta call your calls consistently. You can't just say, all right, overtime is a little different. We didn't have to got to be consistent. I'm sure NASCAR is working on some ideas to make sure that gets hemmed up. Another thing I want to talk about too, caution for Kyle Busch, man, that it just didn't feel right. Just like what we saw with Haley Deegan at Phoenix. It's just like this got to be a little more slower to throw that caution. But overall, I thought Richmond not too bad of a race. We saw some interesting things start to play out. Denny Hamlin winning, Joey Logano finally having a good run, Martin Truex Jr. coming really close. So really interesting race. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it should be yeah, a lot of interesting topics for sure. We're going to cover some more right now. It's now time for gas and because we got to go. So, um all right, the first topic, you mentioned Chandler Smith. Um how where do you think his ceiling is? I mean, 2 wins so far this year. How far can he go?
I think at some point, we saw this with Ty Gibbs, we saw it with John Hunter Nemechek. The winning's going to start tapering off just a little bit because I mean, you kind of get in that mentality. Obviously, you want all the playoff points you can get, but you kind of get in that mentality of like, all right, let's race for the points. Let's race for a good point state. We've got enough playoff points from the wins and where we are in the standings. Let's maintain that. So I think, he's going to get a couple more wins. I would look for him to be a favorite this weekend. I'll mention who I think is going to win a little later, though. But I think his ceiling is about 7 to 9 wins. Maybe he can go for 10, but I think about 7 to 9 wins this season.
That's what Ty Gibbs and John Hunter Nemechek, I believe they both had seven the last 2 years, and who knows where that ceiling can go. As of course we'll find out. The grind of the summer can get at you so many times. So let's talk about another Toyota driver that's doing pretty well. This one's in the truck series. This one's it's Heim time, everybody. Yeah, exactly. Uh, to see what Corey Heim's been able to do these last 2 years, especially in, that 11 truck. Um, what, how far do you think he finishes in the top 10 in every race?
Ooh, I mean, top 10 every race is hard to accomplish. I don't know if he's going to do that because, I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the series. But, I mean, I would look for him to be pretty much top 10. I would say, I mean, there's 24 races. You say you throw out a number, let's say 75%. I would say so. About 75% of the races, yeah. You can finish top, get a top 10 finish.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, um, who are you most concerned about in the Xfinity series after 6 races so far this season?
Some extent, I would say Sam Mayer. I mean, just the slow start that he's had. I've really enjoyed using the term "the year from hell." I mean, that was his words, not mine. So that's why I've been using it. But I want to see him turn it around because really, I think this would be a critical year for him to really prove his talent. Uh, I mean, Haley Deegan. I mean, just haven't seen anything out of her. I mean, aside from bowing out with about 10 laps to go with an electrical issue at Richmond. Yeah.
All right. Um, we talked about someone. Let's talk about Cup for a second, guys. A lot of guys, couple guys got their best finishes of the season. Joey Logano finished second. Chase Elliott finished fifth. Both first top fives for those two drivers. Out of those two, who are you least concerned about heading into these next few weeks?
Oh, probably Chase Elliott. Yeah. Yeah. Especially given where he is in points and where Hendrick Motorsports is right now. Chase Elliott's rock solid.
Okay. Speaking of Hendrick Motorsports, they're doing something a little special this weekend. All four Hendrick cars are going to be running a ruby red paint scheme to celebrate their 40th year in NASCAR. Of course, that team has been synonymous with winning. It's basically compared to the Yankees in baseball or the Packers in football or the Steelers and all that stuff. What your fondest memories of Hendrick?
Well, I mean, I'll say now that I'll preface this by saying I do not have a favorite driver right now. I'm neutral. I have to be neutral because of media. But when I was a kid, I was a big Jeff Gordon fan, and so I think a lot of the memories of just watching Jeff Gordon race, and especially the 2015 Martinsville victory, and just knowing that was kind of like that one final time, getting to really cheer and be excited. I think that was cool. I think seeing Jimmy pull off the seventh championship was remarkable. No matter who you are in the sport, I think we have moments like Jeff getting his 76th win, then beating Dale's record on his birthday at Talladega, the track that he won at a lot. Was, I mean, classic controversial Jeff Gordon style. Of course, Atlanta, where I think that's probably the best one
Yeah,
is Atlanta because you had Jimmy and Jeff battling each other. That I think that was the best display of Hendrick Motorsports.
one of the best ways to spend a Tuesday.
Yeah,
Um,
I spent it in school and then I watched it out when I got home.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Last one here. Big news from RCR. Justin Alexander will be Austin Dillon's crew chief again.
Mhm.
Um, he will take over for Keith Rodden, who's going to move into another role within RCR. Also new engineer has been added on to that team as well. Do you think with all these changes, will Austin Dillon turn it? Will Austin Dillon have will have we see better performance out of the three team?
I mean, it's only up for that team. Let's be real here. I mean, their performance has just not been good at all. I mean, not good. I mean, Austin Dillon has been just absolutely invisible. Like you look at this season, they're 25th in points. They have an average, they're somewhere in the 20s. It's really low. They're not doing well. They're averaging like a 25th place finish. I think Dillon hasn't finished higher than 16th this season. I mean, you and I both know Austin Dillon is much more capable than like finishing no higher than 16th. Obviously, the Cup field is so competitive, which is why I think we're going to see a lot more out of Austin. I mean, Justin Alexander being back there, it's like Jay coming back to PB after Mustard joined PB. Something didn't work. Let's get it back to how it used to be.
Nice. Nice. Um, okay, so a couple other news and headlines. Cam Waters from the Supercars series, he's actually going to be making his truck series debut with Thor Sport Racing, at Martinsville this weekend. Tomorrow, actually, is the truck race. So that'll be fun there. Also, just released today, Dexter Bean will be in the 92 for DGM Racing. And then 39, and also Mike Harmon Racing with Brian Vargas. They'll be back. And then in the Cup Series, David Starr will be in the 66 for MBM Motorsports.
Yeah.
First Cup start since Fall Phoenix 2021.
Yeah. And just a note on the, Mike Harmon entry. This is their first, I guess, like one of their first entries as Mike Harmon Racing proper. They have done a couple starts, I think Phoenix and then
Yeah.
Richmond through the Jordan Anderson Racing, kind of using their owner points in the entry to better get into the field. So,
Yeah, of course. They tried to get in at Daytona with Stanton Barrett and just didn't work out. So yeah, it'll be we'll see 39 cars in the field for Xfinity, 34 trucks. So all the trucks will get in, and obviously all the Cup field will be in as well at Martinsville. All right, it's time to put the money where the mouth is because it's time for picks. We'll start off with the truck race, the Long John Silver's 200. It'll be Friday night on FS1. Actually, all the races will be on FS1, and it also can be heard on the Motor Racing Network and Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90. All right, let's start off. Who you got for the truck race?
all right, so I'm going to go with a guy who has had a lot of success, I would say quiet success this season, especially on the short tracks. We'll go with Ty Majeski.
Yep, our inaugural champion of the Quickie Driver Development Program. Sorry, had to say it. Obviously, if you haven't heard, I am involved in that program, so had to get that out there.
There you go.
I gotta remind myself. Let's see, who did I pick?
Yeah, who did you
So,
pick, Casey?
yeah, I did. You know what? Let's go with Taylor Gray.
Cool.
Think he's gonna get it done this weekend. We'll see how it goes. I mean, those Tricon trucks have been fast. I mean, just at Coda, all five were in the top 10, so
Yeah,
it's impressive in itself. It's going to be tough stopping that 11 truck, but I think Taylor's been right up there too. So having Jeff Hensley on top of the box, it's been, that 17 team's going to be a real title contender if he continues the way that he's been running these
yeah.
last few weeks. All right, let's go to Xfinity. Let's go to Xfinity. Who you got?
So I'm going to go with the veteran here who came very, very close to getting a win in Virginia last weekend. He gets us. Nah, he gets the victory. Eric Almirola gets it done.
Good one. I'm gonna go with the veteran as well. A very, very familiar pick of yours. If
Oh,
the
yeah,
driver you picked last week to win, I'll take Justin Allgaier for the win. So I
yeah,
know Junior Motorsports has not had, the best start to the year. It is time for it's gonna be the seven's gonna get back in victory lane once again at Martinsville. By the way, I forgot to mention
mhm,
this too. Carson Quapple will make his
yeah,
Xfinity Series debut this weekend in the 88 car.
yeah.
So that
He's
should
already
be,
one of the favorites to win,
I
which is
know it's
remarkable.
the
Yeah,
kid's good.
odds
Obviously
on.
he's been a part of Junior Motorsports' late model program. Actually, Mason Diaz is going to be in the 8 car this weekend in the Cars Tour Pro late model stock race at Hickory. So tune into Flow Racing for that. So that should be fun with the pro lates um, and the late model stocks. I'm going to be doing the double screen thing, watching the Xfinity race and doing all
Yeah.
that stuff. So that should be fun there. All right, Cup race coming up. The Cookout 400 at Martinsville. Unlike the truck and Xfinity race, this is going to be actually during the day. Um, who you got?
So, I mean, this is a boring pick. I'll just preface this. But I mean, when a guy is good and he's on a hot streak and he comes to a track like this, you can't bet against him. Denny Hamrin Hamlin is going to get it done.
Fun fact, Denny Hamlin has not won at Martinsville since 2015.
I
So,
refuse to believe that. He's going to break that winless streak this
yeah,
weekend.
I mean, he's on I mean, I think I think what his goal, he wanted to get to 60 wins and all that fun stuff, and he's only a couple away from that. So it's we'll see what he can do on that. You know what? I'm gonna go with Christopher Bell. I think I'm gonna stay in that Toyota camp. And man, I mean, we've both seen it. Those Toyotas have really been on fire
Absolutely.
these last few weeks. And yeah, I think the Toyotas are going to be really, really tough to beat coming up
For
this week.
sure.
So, um, yeah, it should be fun. Tune in to FS1 all weekend. That's your home for all things Martinsville. The Motor Racing Network will get you if you can't find a television. So it should be fun, and that's going to do it for this week. Tune in next week where we'll preview Texas, and I think you're going to be heading there.
Yeah, first time going to Texas in Texas Motor Speedway in 14 years. I went to our first ever NASCAR race there, so excited to go there as a media member now.
Absolutely. All right. We'll talk to you next week.